Cause I'm going through all your private stuff. You better come out and pound me. No clothes on anybody. Sickening.
Hello, my house is being robbed. My address is 656 Lincoln Street. My name is Murphy.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Pot and Planet Entertainment. Merry Christmas. My name is Chris and in case you don't know, I review movies and I rank them on a scale of 0 to 100 in increments of 5. Today we are going to be talking about my all-time favorite Christmas movie, Home Alone. And yes, we will be reviewing the second one. Home Alone was released in 1990 and it stars Macaulay Culkin, Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern, John Hurd, Robert Blossom, Catherine O'Hara, and John Candy. It was directed by Chris Columbus and it was produced by Tarkan Gotch, Mark Levinson, and Scott M. Rosenfeld. And in case you haven't seen this movie, what are you doing? Go watch it. It's amazing. So the plot of this movie is, of course, a little boy has a big family, right? And his uncle and his uncle's kids have come from out of town, and they're all going to go to Paris together. And he feels like everyone's sort of picking on him, you know, and he feels like kind of neglected. And he just feels like, you know, nobody really... He just feels like, you know, kind of like the odd one out in the family. And so they wake up the next day to catch their flight, but they wake up late. And so they all rush out of the house, but they forget Kevin. They fly overseas to Paris, and then they realize that they forgot him. And so he wakes up and wanders around his house wondering where the heck everyone is. And that's when we get the famous line, "I made my family disappear." And so this kid enjoys the next few days having this big house all to himself. Meanwhile, a couple of really stupid robbers are eyeing his house because they want to rob it. And so he decides that it's up to him as the man of the house now to defend his house against thes burglars. This movie is one I grew up with. It is a must-watch for me every single winter. This movie has meant so much to so many people. I know to like pretty much everybody who's seen it, this is a must-watch every winter. I am not the only one who loves to watch this every winter. I know I'm not. We all love and enjoy this movie. This movie almost didn't get made. It ran into a lot of production issues. Some of the people in this movie almost weren't casted. Like, did you know that Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern barely got casted for this? They were almost not in this movie. It is amazing that we got them in this movie. It's amazing that the movie was ever even made because the studio kept going at it. This movie actually got handed from one studio to the next while it was being made. It's crazy how like that we got this movie at all and that it's as good as it is. Can you imagine anybody else other than Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern playing the robbers in this movie? I can't. I mean, this movie wouldn't have been as good if they were casted any different. They are perfect together. Their chemistry is perfect. This movie is my all-time favorite Christmas movie for a reason. For many reasons. I love Home Alone. And this is a movie I will love and cherish till the day I die. And I know for a fact that one day when I have kids of my own, they are going to love this movie just as much as I do. It has aged so well. It is just as good to me now as it was when I was a kid. I love Home Alone. Let's talk about it. So my first pro with Home Alone would be Macaulay Culkin. Of course, the man himself, he gives one of the greatest child performances of all time in this movie. He was so well casted. He's so funny and clever and relatable in this movie. Every kid at some point feels like that their whole family's against him. I know I did. So we all kind of relate to him. And as an adult, you like him as well because he's clever and he's smart. And you're like, oh yeah, I like that kid. So it ages well and it's good for every demographic. Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern have excellent chemistry. I already said this. They had excellent chemistry with each other, and I cannot imagine anyone else playing those roles. I'm so grateful that we got them for this movie because they are perfect in this movie. This is a very well edited movie as well. I love it when the whole family is running to get ready to go. Right, because they slept in, and the camera just sits there as you get this time loop of them all running throughout the house with that Christmas music playing. And then when Macaulay Culkin realizes that his family's gone, and he runs around the house, because he's having so much fun, because he's got this whole house all to himself. And even like a other parts of this movie as well. It's so well edited. It's something that I don't think this movie gets enough credit for. It's very funny. Pretty much every joke in this movie really, really lands, and most of this humor comes from Macaulay Culkin. Not just, a bunch of it comes from the robbers, but a lot of it comes from Macaulay Culkin himself. I always love it when he screams in this movie. Like when the two bandits are driving their van and they're arguing, and he's just walking down the road, and they almost hit him, and he stands there frozen, as the van comes right here on him. It's so funny. It's such a funny movie. It's very quotable as well. And my intro for this movie, you saw I recreated some of my favorite moments from this movie. Yeah, kids are scared of the dark. You're scared of the dark too, Marv. You know, stuff like that. It's just such you can remember so many lines from this movie. It's just so good. Where are your brothers and sisters? I'm an only child. Where do you live? I can't tell you that. Why not? Because you're a stranger. There's so many good quotes from this movie. It's very memorable. Everything about this movie is memorable. You know, when you think of Home Alone, there are so many things that you think about. There's not one specific scene. Like Psycho. Everybody knows Psycho for the shower scene. Everybody knows Home Alone for so many different things. So many different lines, so many different scenes. Like when the two bandits pull up in front of his house, and because this kid is so smart and clever, he closes the blinds, and he puts up cardboard cutouts and mannequins, and he moves them all around, and he makes it look like there's a party going on in the house. Or when he gets on the sled at the top of the stairs, and he slides down the stairs out the front door. And believe me when I tell you, I wanted to try that when I was a kid. I got in a laundry basket, probably maybe more than once, I don't know, and would just chicken out every time, but I really wanted to do it. The music is amazing too. John Williams actually composed the music for this film, and it is so good. So good. The Home Alone, the music in this movie is just, it's perfect. It's so good. The old man in this movie is this scary old man who, by the way, is the same guy who held up the sign, "Stop and be friendly" in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He plays this old man who's his neighbor, right? And there's these rumors going around that he kills people and he's mummified them, but the police were never able to pin it on him because there was not enough evidence. And so he's scared of him throughout this whole movie. And every time he comes into frame, every time you see him, you get this music. Dun, 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 dun. And it sets him up like he's this really bad guy. But then as you find out later in the movie, no, he's not such a bad guy. He's actually very nice, and he has a heart-to-heart with Kevin, and it's a really, really nice scene. And I'm sorry if I spoiled that for you, but come on, you have to see Home Alone. You have to have seen it by now. Macaulay Culkin, like I said, he's extremely relatable in this movie. He brings out the kid in all of us. You know, I feel like we all can relate, and we all want to be him in this movie. You know, every kid wants to be as cool as Macaulay Culkin was in this movie. This movie teaches kids a good lesson. You know, we all, like, at some point as a kid, we just hate our whole family. We just want nothing to do with them, at least for like a few days or so. But then this movie shows you, well, what if you woke up one day and they really were gone? You might not like that so much. And so it teaches kids a good lesson. And I gotta talk about the greatest fake movie within a movie of all time. What's it called? Angels with Filthy Souls. Keep the change, you filthy animal. It's just, everything about this movie is so memorable. This movie really should not have amounted to much. It reminds me of Predator in that way. Predator was a movie that should have been cheesy and stupid and just should have never been good, but it's one of the greatest action movies of all time. This movie, when you really try to explain the premise of this movie to somebody, so Home Alone is this movie about this kid that's home alone and these robbers try to rob him, and he puts out these booby traps. Tell me that they wouldn't think, well, that sounds super cheesy. It does. It really does. But it's not cheesy at all. It's like one of the best movies ever. This movie really should not amount to much. Plus, on top of that, with all the production woes that this movie went through, it's such a miracle that this movie is as good as it is. It really is. Watching Kevin do stuff Because Macaulay Culkin plays a character in this movie named Kevin McAllister, and watching him do stuff in this movie is so much fun. Because a lot of this movie is just after the family leaves, it's just him sort of doing whatever he wants, and just watching him do whatever he wants is so entertaining. Just because, like, imagine if your family left you at home, what would you do? Really, what would you do? Like, you have the whole house all to yourself. He thinks that they're gone, right? And so he thinks they actually disappeared. And so he's got this whole house to himself. And so what would you do? Right? And you get to see him do whatever he wants around the house. He goes, even when he leaves the house, he goes grocery shopping by himself. This movie is very heartwarming as well. This movie will, especially at the end, will very much tug on your heartstrings. It's a very feel-good movie. And I gotta talk about the famous booby trap sequence from this movie. This is the best part of the movie. It's when the two robbers finally decide, okay, we're really gonna nail this kid now, and we're gonna rob this house. And he sets up all these booby traps throughout the house, and they come and they fall for every single one of them, and it is just one of the most memorable sequences in a film ever. It's so funny, and the stunts throughout this movie are very good too. They had stunt doubles for this, and the stunt doubles cannot be praised enough. They did a fantastic job. It's so funny. It's like when the two of them, they get separated for a while, and then when they finally see each other, they're both a complete mess, and they're looking at each other. They cannot believe what has happened. They're trying to figure out what in the world could have possibly happened to you. It's like, Marv, why the hell did you take your shoes off? Why the hell are you dressed like a chicken? Everything about it is just so memorable. It's so good. And like when he puts the spider on Daniel Stern's face and his hilarious scream, everything is so good. Home Alone is a must watch for me every single winter. I love Home Alone, and I know if for whatever reason you have not seen this movie, I guarantee you will love it too. And of course, Home Alone deserves a 100. One of the easiest 100s I have ever given on my channel. This movie is perfect. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to Pod Player Entertainment for more and hit the like button. Leave movie review suggestions down in the comments down below. Follow me on Instagram at Pod Player Entertainment for channel updates, and Merry Christmas.